Super Bowl today, presented by Verizon, as we get a look at Bourbon Street. The crowds milling about ahead of Super Bowl 59. So many beautiful sights and sounds in New Orleans, Louisiana, beyond Bourbon Street. Look at those folks taking it in. Thanks for spending time with us. Patrick Claybon, Marcus Grant here on Super Bowl today. Again, presented by Verizon, as we got a game coming up on Sunday.
That's what I've heard. I've heard that rumor. Yeah.
Finally going to play.
Hey!
Between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs, who are trying to do something that has not been done before. That is win 3 consecutive Super Bowls, back to back to back. Michael, Scotty, Steve, those folks, they coined the term three-peat. But we will apply it to all North American sports leagues. The Yankees did it in 1998 to 2002. Remember the Lakers being able to do it, the Bulls doing it twice famously, and then probably the most legendary team on here, Cynthia Cooper, Cheryl Swoops, Tina Thompson, the legends. The Houston Comets started the thing in the WNBA and did not let anybody else get a chance to win. So let's discuss historically, where do the Chiefs rank in terms of NFL history, of NFL dynasties, if they get a win on Sunday?
I think in terms of NFL dynasties, it's hard to not put them near the top of the list. I think because especially what they have done has been in a really concentrated amount of time, right? I mean, let's go back at the beginning of the 1999 season, in fact, the beginning of the calendar year 2000, Patrick Mahomes did not have a Super Bowl championship. Andy Reid was arguably the greatest coach in NFL history not to win a Super Bowl championship. So in the span of basically, 5.5 short years, here we are talking about them being dynastic, going for their 4th title, potentially their 3rd in a row. And you look at that versus, say, the Patriots, who had a sustained period of greatness over literally a generation. I mean, it was 20 years of sustained greatness for the Patriots. So, yeah, I think when you talk about greatest, it's one of those nebulous terms like most valuable sort of things. But I think the Chiefs certainly win the award for, I think, concentrated excellence, if you will.
Yeah, exactly, because it's hard to evaluate these things year over year, because you start to wonder, like, what are the peaks and the valleys? Because the peak of the Patriots franchise was the best offense we ever seen. Randy Moss had joined the best quarterback we had seen to that point. They threw 50 touchdowns, and they lost a game. And that's why it's very difficult to say, like, you lose one game and somehow the total accomplishments of years of efforts are invalidated. Why not? This Kansas City Chiefs team, regardless of what happens on Sunday, they went 15-2. Like they won all of these games. If they lose this one game on Sunday, I don't know if it cheapens the entire apparatus. I think we could evaluate the total thing and look back and say, well, hey, if you take the experience of this team and we bring Tyreek Hill back, maybe in total evaluating the franchise, we can make an argument over like the best rendition of the Patriots team. But again, the best version of the Patriots team lost in the Super Bowl.
It is wild, by the way, that Tom Brady throws 50 touchdowns, Randy Moss has a phenomenal season, and it's undone by the flukiest David Tyree catch you will ever see.
Which is the nature of a single elimination tournament. And that's why whoever wins on Sunday, it shouldn't invalidate the efforts of the other team and their contributions to NFL history. But unfortunately, only one person gets to be remembered and only one team gets to be written down in the history books, because history is written by the winner. And that's why a lot of it is fake. As we continue here on Super Bowl today, let's look at Jalen Hurts before and after the bye in the 2024 season. They were losing games. They weren't scoring that many points. And then from week 6 to the NFC Championship, they only lose one game. That was the game Jalen Hurts got hurt. And so they lose it. The Commanders commit 5 turnovers and somehow win that game. Other than that, they're unbeaten. His passer rating is sitting at 112. They've been very good. They've almost been perfect. How perfect does Jalen Hurts need to be to beat the Chiefs on Sunday?
I don't know if he has to be perfect, but he's got to be pretty good. I think there's no doubt about that. Now, obviously, having a guy like Saquon Barkley, really nice eraser, really helps you sort of cover up some mistakes when you make it. But, we saw 2 years ago in this game, in the Super Bowl, Jalen Hurts was damn near perfect in that one, too. 3 rushing touchdowns, threw for a touchdown, certainly statistically outdueled Patrick Mahomes, and it wasn't quite enough. Weirdly, Patrick, this is a team game, so fortunately for the Eagles, it does not all hinge upon the perfection or lack thereof of Jalen Hurts, because there are 21 other guys wearing green on their jerseys and helmets that are going to have to step up and perform. But I think certainly without a doubt, I don't know that the Eagles can win if Jalen Hurts does not have at least a decent game on Sunday.
Yeah, there's been a tendency to look at Jalen Hurts playing in safety mode, right? And saying, well, when they go out there and they win these games and Jalen doesn't have to do much and he's just being very careful with the ball, maybe holding on to it too long, that people seem to somehow think, oh, that's Jalen Hurts. No, that's Jalen Hurts when he's not necessarily trying. Like Josh Allen won that game for the Buffalo Bills against the Ravens, only completing one pass that went longer than 10 yards. Sometimes the game doesn't dictate a need for you to go out there and be Superman. But he has been known to jump in a phone booth occasionally, right? And I think his ability to do that gives the Philadelphia Eagles an opportunity in this game. I don't know if he has to play perfect, but like Marcus said, B+, A, got to feel pretty good about the Birds. Feel pretty good about a quarterback who has played in this game previously. That is Joe Burrow. The Bengals defense didn't necessarily do what it needed to do. In fact, they were actually bad, and that's why Joe Burrow, not even close to playing this game. He was on Super Bowl Live with our friend Maurice Jones-Drew this week.
And I got drafted with a college teammate, Mercedes Lewis, who's still playing. God bless his soul. Yeah. But for you to get drafted with a guy that you threw the ball with, it felt like that chemistry from LSU just went right on to Cincinnati. You guys kind of changed the dynamic of this organization.
Yeah, me and Jamar have grown together as football players. His first career game in college was my first career start, and I knew a little bit from having 3 years in college and understanding a little bit of what it took. I hadn't started a game yet, and so I was able to give him a little bit of wisdom from those 3 years. But, you know, from that point on, we've just grown together as humans and as players, and I think that's really benefited us in the long run.
Yeah, and so I saw the game against the Cowboys where I think it was like a donut smashing each other's faces. Talk about a little bit that relationship you guys have. I mean, you guys are best friends.
Yeah, we love working together. I love going to work and hanging out with those guys. That's I mean, you can attest to this. That's what's so fun about playing football is going to work every day and loving the people that you do it with. And Jamar brings energy every single day. Sometimes he's a little sleepy in the mornings, but once he wakes up a little bit, he's so fun to be around, and I'm blessed to be able to work with him.
Now, you've been a trailblazer in Cincinnati. Throughout the history of the Bengals, they let Carson Palmer go. They haven't paid guys. You have both of your receivers are coming up to get paid. You kind of spoke openly about it throughout the season and throughout your time in Radio Row about finding a way to keep your core four together, Trey Hendrickson, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins. Have you guys really talked about that with the front office, or is that just something you guys are trying to work on as a group of four?
A little of both. We've had those preliminary discussions. It's really early in the off season, so those guys and their agents will start to have those discussions coming up. But we're confident that we're going to be able to do what it takes. We all want to stay together, so we want to make it work.
Now, I know all the people want to know, Joe, you know, we see you arrive to games, the style, the fashion, all that stuff. And then for this show, you show up in a white tee. Where did we go wrong, and how can we help you?
Are you a little offended by that? It sounds like you're a little offended.
Just a tad bit. Just a tad bit. I thought I was going to get, like, the Cartier shades, you know, maybe a hoodie, you know, some type of fashion. Is the white tee back, is what I'm asking.
I think the white tee is back. It was a little early in the morning. I was up at about 6:45, 7. Didn't want to go crazy with the fashion that early in the morning, so threw on the aloe shirt and the aloe pants. So nothing crazy, but I've got some good outfits planned for the week, that's for sure.
All right, now speaking of this week, you played both the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. We've seen you beaten Patrick Mahomes, one of the only two quarterbacks to beat him in the playoffs. What has your experience with those two been like throughout this season?
Yeah, it's been fun to watch those guys. Those are two of the best guys in the league. The Eagles are running the ball so well. Saquon is so fun to watch. He's the best running back in the league and making incredible plays week in and week out. Patrick obviously does what Patrick does. He's going to make plays at the end of the game and use his legs in the playoffs. So I'm excited to watch the game. I'm excited to see those guys perform.
All right, do you have a prediction for this game?
Well, I think it'll come down to whether the Eagles can run the ball on the Chiefs or not. I haven't seen anybody run the ball like that on the Chiefs in the playoffs. The Bills had some success doing it, but you're going to have to make some plays at the quarterback position, outside the pocket, outside the structure. You're going to have to run away from Chris Jones. I don't know who'll win, but I think it'll be a good game.
Don't know who will win, but it will be a good game. Kind of describes the situation in the AFC totally. The Bengals not in that picture this season. How close are they to being Super Bowl contenders once again?
Well, the first thing is retooling that defense. And they moved on from Lou Anarumo. They brought in Al Golden as their new defensive coordinator. So, you know, look, it wasn't that long ago that they were in the Super Bowl playing against the Rams and unfortunately came up short in that game. So the nature of the NFL, certainly with some shrewd free agent moves and a couple of good draft picks, it can happen. I mean, we talked about the Eagles and how their secondary had been a major weakness for them. They go out, they draft Quinyon Mitchell, they add Cooper DeJean. You talked about how they added Zach Bond at linebacker and really have completely remade that defense. So it is not impossible. The other thing I would suggest, and look, I'm no football genius, I would suggest to the Bengals maybe not getting off to such a bad start in the win-loss column. You look at the last 3 years. You know, this past year they were 1-4. Last year 1-3. A couple years back they were 0-2. So maybe, just maybe, trying to get out and winning your first couple of games gives you a little bit of an advantage as well.
Yeah, that definitely helps. Not having to have every game down, every single one be a must-win, because it's so often that cliche gets thrown around. The Bengals were there from like week 7 on. I think they're very close to making a mistake. It's a mistake that so many teams make, and that is giving up on what makes you special. For the sake of saving money for somebody that doesn't necessarily have a need to save money any longer. T. Higgins, Joe Burrow, and Jamar Chase are what make this team special. They make them unique and different, and keeping that team together, whether or not, like, sure, maybe, okay, you can go out there and become a completely different franchise and try to win in a completely different way. Why? Keep the guys that you found and allow them to be the thing that's unique. That's how I view the Cincinnati Bengals. And I think if you want something unique, you want Verizon access. Because it gives you the best of Super Bowl 59. From getting on the field to player meet and greets, exclusive NFL experiences. You get the best of football just for being a Verizon customer. Coming up here on Super Bowl Today, presented by Verizon, it is the wide receiver 1 for the Los Angeles Rams, Puka Nacua, joining up and maybe letting us know about some products. It's coming up next on Super Bowl Today. have returned on Super Bowl today as we get a look at the Mississippi River there in New Orleans, Louisiana, where they are set to play Super Bowl 59. It is a big game. It is a championship game. And perhaps a player we need to consider is the one that won the Heisman Trophy. He's the one that had a walk-off in the national championship game. That is DeVonta Smith. Yeah, he only had 41 receiving yards in that game, but a lot of them were a doozy. And then in the national championship game, Ohio State, for some reason, had a linebacker on him one time. He had 215 yards receiving. And then in the Super Bowl, he goes over 100, something that he's done 2 out of 3 times. He's played Steve Spagnuolo's Kansas City Chiefs defense. So, Marcus Grant, I ask you this. Are you expecting fireworks from the guy who seems to do it in some big moments?
Expecting seems a little drastic, right? Like, I would love to see. I really do want to see who is going to step up and have the big game here, because you know it's going to be somebody. Just not sure who exactly, but it is a thing that DeVonta Smith seems to carve up Steve Spagnuolo defenses. It is a rare thing to find the player who has consistent success against Spags, and for whatever reason, DeVonta Smith has been able to do that. So definitely looking forward to sort of what the Eagles have up their sleeves and what exactly it is that the Chiefs are going to try to do to counteract it. But it's been interesting to see DeVonta Smith step up. Obviously, throughout his college and professional career, step up in big games, and this is going to be another opportunity to see if he can add to that resume.
And another opportunity for me to talk to the frame concerned people who are concerned about the frame of a particular football player, as if other players with larger frames are constructed out of adamantium. And they're unbreakable. Shout out to DeVonta Smith and all the success that he's had in his career. Talk about a receiver having success. What about a guy who's been one of the best in the league from the moment he stepped on the field? Puka Nacua. Talking to our friends on Super Bowl Live this week.
Take me into what makes Philly so good.
Yeah, I think their front four is something that presents a lot of challenges. I mean, when you can get to the quarterback and only rushing 4, and you don't have to, you got 7 other guys back there playing defense. It definitely makes somebody's on that job is a little bit easier on that football field. But also when you have Saquon Barkley on there, who's had a phenomenal season. He runs the ball so aggressively, the perfect balance of speed and power. So it's been absolutely amazing to watch him play this game of football. Sadly, we had to play against him, and he had to play really well against us as well. But you love seeing good football.
And I know one thing about football, the good and the bad, but there's always changes every year. Rams have come out and said that they're looking to possibly trade Cooper Kupp. Just take me into what he's meant to your early success in the league.
Yeah, from the moment I got the call from Les Snead and they said they were drafting me to the Rams organization, Cooper Kupp has been there right beside me every step of the way. Going through injuries during training camp in my rookie year, and he was right there next to me. I'm getting the play call from Matthew, and Cooper's right there giving me the nuances of where I got to be, where my alignment should be. Okay, you're hash -1 right here, and you're going to roll to the backside, and all right, you got to push up here. You're setting the edge of the defense right here, but you're also the high part of this concept, and all of the details that he gave to me, and then just being able to watch him interact with everybody at the facility for the past 2 years. The prime example of what a professional football player should be in the way he carries himself in the facility, but then the way he is a father and the way he is a husband. I've been able to see all those things. I've been blessed to be with him.
I mean, it's so great. We always talk about quarterbacks having a veteran in that room to be able to kind of take us under their wing. Cooper, unbelievable. He's like a coach on the field with his knowledge. Talking about changes, your team, I don't know if anybody really expected you guys to have the run that you did and, push the envelope in the playoffs as you did. What needs to change with your organization so you can find yourself in this game in the near future?
Man, I think getting an early start and being able to find consistency. In the past 2 seasons, we've been going through a little bit of a roller coaster of not starting off playing great football in the beginning part of the season, and then when we get to the back, we're playing great football and we're trying to catch that momentum run into the playoffs. But there is something about being consistent. There's so little room for error in this game of football, and trying to be as consistent as you can. If you can do it through week 1 through 17, man, when you get into the playoff and those things really matter, you've calloused yourself and you prepared yourself in the right way, so those moments you are prepared for.
You know, one thing that is so cool about the NFL is kind of our international series. You know, so many games across the country. We're expanding. Dublin, Madrid. 2 years from now, 2026, the Rams are going to be headed to Australia to play the first NFL game in Australia. What's that going to be like?
I just recently learned that it's going to be a really long flight for us. So hopefully we'll get some good sleep on it. But it's going to be exciting to be the first to do anything. Obviously, to go out there to Australia, we have it growing out there as a sport that they watch, and then getting to have people like Jordan Mailata play in the Super Bowl. So what that does for that audience and the game of football expanding to everywhere is super exciting.
It is super cool. I can't wait. I hope I get assigned to that one and get a chance. I've never been to Australia. I know you're busy this week. You're doing stuff. Pepsi, GoBowling.com. Tell me what you're doing this week.
So GoBowling.com and Pepsi are teaming up. We got a bowling event going on tomorrow. Me and some other NFL players will be out there. I got my bowling ball shipped out here for this event, so I'm going to be out there trying to bowl with the best of them. And it's going to be super exciting. If you go to GoBowling.com and their website, you can get a free coupon for a free bowling game, which everybody deserves a free match of bowling. You get out there and hit a strike. It feels really good. It's kind of like golf. I don't know if you've gotten in the game of golf, but everybody says when you hit a good one, it makes you want to come back. So when you get that first strike, it makes you definitely want to bowl again.
Well, the first crack of Puka Nacua was very, very good as a rookie. He was also very good in the spots where he was able to play in the second year, both with Matt Stafford as his starting quarterback. Matt Stafford tends to lead to receivers having record-breaking years. We've seen it multiple times now. $49 million cap hit in 2025. Yeah. That's listed as a potential out is $50 million, Marcus. What should they do with Matthew Stafford?
I think they don't really have a choice but to pay Matthew Stafford. To be honest, I mean, you look at what he has meant to this franchise from the moment he was traded there. They win a Super Bowl in large part because of the efforts of Matthew Stafford. And even at the beginning of the year, when the record wasn't great, when this team was 1-4 and really considering blowing it up, I don't know that you could have put any of that on Stafford. I thought he was playing well, even in some poor circumstances with injuries and guys not playing well around him. The problem for the Rams is, for everything they have done well, the one thing they have not is really planned for life after Matthew Stafford. And I don't know that there's really that next guy on the roster. It's not Jimmy Garoppolo. It's not Stetson Bennett. So at this point, with the quarterback market not really being available to them in the draft, they're not going to be able to get one of the top 2 or 3 guys. The free agent market's not that great. I don't know that they have any other choice if they want to keep this window open than to pay Matthew Stafford and keep him in L.A.
I think back to a few seasons ago where there was like late stage Cam. He had already come back from the shoulder surgery, and he had a playoff game against the Saints where it was like, wow, they lost this game, but that's still a very good football player. And it made me remember this game in the snow. This Eagles team is very good. Matthew Stafford put the fear of God in everybody in that stadium, and they were concerned that there was going to be a late comeback attempt because he still has it. And I think when Matthew Stafford still has it, you hang on until the wheels come off. I just don't understand the idea of, after sending the Lions, the franchise quarterback that they have, that's going on the run because Jared Goff couldn't quite get you what Matthew Stafford gets you. Why not hang on to Matthew Stafford and just see how long it takes until the wheels fall off? Still a very good team, a young team on defense that's only going to get better. I think you got to get hyped for Matthew Stafford. And folks, you should also get hyped for the Apple Music Super Bowl 59 halftime show. And you can do so because there's 6 months of Apple Music. 6 months, that's 1/2 of a year. 1/2 of our beloved planet's rotation around our beloved star for just $2.99. Terms and restrictions apply. Coming up here on Super Bowl today, one of the best tight ends in the game, George Kittle. And who will be the first quarterback off the board in the 2025 NFL Draft? Will it be Shadur Sanders? Would Shadur Sanders answer that question? What's he have to say about Cam Ward? He spent a lot of time with him. An interview with Shadur coming up next on Super Bowl today.
turn this thing up. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, how are you there, brother?
Hey, brother.
Let's go, dog. Just playing a little backyard ball. Just a little backyard football. What's up, Kev? I pulled the chair on you. Woo, that boy fast. Yeah. Let's get it. Always feels a little better when you score a touchdown. Bro, you already know, man. Always.
Find someone who will gas you up like Travis Kelce calling Juju fast on that touchdown run. Look at what he's done in the postseason in his career. He's got more receptions than anyone in history. Trails in postseason receiving yards and touchdowns only to the greatest receiver to ever play the game in Jerry Rice. And 100 and more receiving yard gains. He's done it 9 times in the postseason. Most people don't play 9 postseason games in their NFL career. He's had 100 yards or more receiving in 9 games. As we look forward to another playoff game for Travis Kelce, this one going up against a very good defense in the Philadelphia Eagles. Is he going to have a big game this Sunday?
I think he will. I mean, just that tends to be his track record. I mean, in big situations, Travis Kelce tends to play his best. Now, I don't know if it's just, what it is, right? It's the clutch gene or whatever generic social media cliche you want to throw in there. It could just be that he and Patrick Mahomes are talented players who work really, really well together, and they have a coach who knows how to put these guys in the right situations. But for whatever Travis Kelce seems to do during the regular season, and this was not statistically at least the best season he's ever had, he does seem to show up when his team needs him most. And I would expect we're going to see that again coming up on Sunday, because look, when things start to break down and 15 back there is in trouble, he knows to find 87. It's a thing we have seen for a number of years, and I don't know why that would change this week.
Yeah, it's already hard enough to defend Patrick Mahomes, but you have to watch, right? And you're in the middle of the field. You've got to watch the quarterback, and you've got a tight end with a two-way go. And those two know way more about what they're about to do than you do. and it's always going to be difficult. So, yeah, Travis Kelce is in a big spot in the postseason. We saw it last year when the 49ers had an opportunity. There was a 3rd and 7 late in the game. You have to cover Travis Kelce. I promise they tried. It's a lot easier to say it than it is to do it. So, yeah, he's going to be Travis Kelce. Will the Eagles' defense subsume him? They have an opportunity, but it's going to be difficult because it's always difficult to do so. It's always difficult to stop very good tight ends. I just mentioned the San Francisco 49ers. A big part of that 49ers team, George Kittle, stopping by to discuss the 49ers and all things such as on Super Bowl Live this week.
Felt like your leadership was tested this year. Was this one of the hardest years you had to be a leader on that team? And even if it was tested, you did a great job of keeping everyone together.
It was a tough season, from injuries to tragedies that happened off the field. It was a tough one. And, when you look back at the season, as a coach, as a player, to review it, we lost because, besides the injuries, we didn't run the ball very efficiently. We didn't stop the run. And we had a ton of turnovers on offense, and then we didn't get a lot of turnovers. So when you have those 4 things, it's hard to win games. So the good thing about that is, hopefully when the guys come back from being injured and we can get them back in our offense and our defense, and you add solid to it, which would be really fun for us, you'll see the 49ers that you guys have been used to seeing. And, that's what our goal is. And, yes, I don't know if my leadership was tested too much, because I've tried to be myself every single day, no matter we're winning or we're losing, and just try to get guys going around me. But yeah, no, it's challenging going in a building like when, hey, you're 6 and 8 and you got to win 5 games no matter what, and you get blown out in 2 of them. Yeah, that's a tough one. Those are long plane rides home. Sunday night football from the Bills, and you got to fly 5.5 hours home. I open my garage door at 5 a.m. That's a tough one. But like I said, man, the appreciation I have for being able to play football, to be able to play in front of the faithful, to play with my teammates, I'll never take that for granted. And so I just try to attack every single day with joy, and also that competitive nature, just to try to get better every single day, because as long as I'm doing that and I'm getting better, I think I can play for a long time.
Yeah, and look, I mean, obviously that's the type of mindset that it takes to get to the highest level, right? To get back to this week where you're actually involved in the action, like you guys have been a couple of times now in your career, going up against the Kansas City Chiefs, who are back here again. What is it about the Chiefs on a Super Bowl stage, and Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs defense and what they've had along this run that makes them so difficult to deal with, in these types of situations?
Well, if you're looking at the Chiefs offense, Mahomes is fantastic. Going for a three-peat, going for his 4th Super Bowl. He's amazing. Travis Kelce, amazing. Their relationship, what they can do on the field, it's one of a kind. There's like no other duo that's doing that in the NFL. I mean, maybe the last guys to do it was Tom Brady with Wes Welker, Julian Edelman. But what they do on a football field is incredible. And then the cast around them is really good. Their offensive line is playing at an incredibly high level. I'm pretty sure they had 3 Pro Bowlers or all pros. So like when your O-line is playing like that and your running backs are running the ball, their offense is going to score points. And like what Mahomes does so well in the Super Bowl, and what their offense does so well, is they're so methodical. And like they might not have like the 1 or 2 play scoring drives, but they have like the 10 to 15 play drives that eat up a ton of clock and always end somehow in the end zone. That's what they're really good at. And then with the Chiefs defense, after going against them a bunch of times, Spags is just really, really good. The way he calls the game, you saw it in the playoffs, saw it the whole season. The way he pressures people, confuses quarterbacks, confuses offenses, puts pressure on you guys all the time to make sure there's only like one guy that's going to be open, but he's away from the blitz and it's hard to see him and stuff like that. They're just dialed up. And what I will say about their defense too, all those guys have played together for a long time, so they kind of know what they're going to get from each other. They know where they're going to be all the time, and that's just really impressive.
I know Little Caesars appreciate you repping the brand today with that graphic tee right there, man. Tell us about it.
Well, first off, pizza. Second of all, I would say that Little Caesars is the Super Bowl sponsor of 59 and also their NFL sponsor, so they've got that going for them. But we're out here promoting Crazy Puffs, which are the little like single bite pizzas, and they are so tasty and they're so diabolically delicious. Little Caesars, actually, they sponsored our 49ers Halloween party this year, and when the guys found out about the Crazy Puffs around, they were gone in about 42 seconds. Like 2 of our offensive linemen probably had 10 boxes each.
Absolutely. Shout out to the Crazy Puff. Shout out to George Kittle for a great interview there and also a great pitch because now I'm starving. The 49ers are starving to get back in this game, Marcus. Will they bounce back and contend for a Super Bowl in 2025?
I think they can. I think what you saw this year, and Kittle mentioned it himself, that injuries were a big part of it, right? You can't lose a guy like Christian McCaffrey for the majority of the season and not have it impact you. And that's before you get into, the other injuries they had at the running back position, between, losing a guy like Brandon Ayuk very early in the season, even on the defensive side of the ball, having injuries there, finding out midway through the year that, Fred Warner was playing maybe on a fractured ankle. I mean, at some point, it does start to add up and start to make an impact. So I know everybody's going to be a year older, but certainly John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan have committed to trying to bring the band, keep the band together, and seeing if they can run it back with that same group. I mean, this is a team that had been in the NFC Championship a number of years in a row, had been to a couple of Super Bowls. So I think if they can just keep everybody healthy and kind of get this group back together, there's no reason that they can't compete and again make another deep playoff run. Yeah,
it's the only thing that makes sense. And you can understand that other teams in the NFC have ascended as well. And they are getting better and they make it difficult. But I don't think these guys forgot how to play football. It's just difficult to win every single year and have every circumstance turn out in your favor. And also, you gotta pay Brock because he's played to the extent that he deserves to be paid. And the idea that you can't contend if you spend a whole lot of money on the quarterback is just false because the 2 guys playing on Sunday, they happen to be very well compensated. So yeah, the 49ers can bounce back and contend to be in this game in 2025. There are teams that would like to find a quarterback. One of them that they are potentially considering will be Shedeur Sanders, son of Pro Football Hall of Famer Deion Sanders, the head coach of the University of Colorado, where he spent his final season throwing passes to the Heisman Trophy winner. He also stopped by Super Bowl Live this week.
What was that like, having your dad as a coach, but also still doing what you want to do and playing the game that you want to play your way?
Yeah, it been really good that my dad been a coach because his expectations is higher than any other coach that can coach me or GM that can expect from me. So I'm just very thankful that I was in that situation, and I look at that as a pro rather than how a lot of people look at it as a con. But he's definitely gonna have separation anxiety from me, and I already know that's coming. But I gotta be able to move on and lead a franchise the right way.
Shedeur, man, big fan of yours, man. Thank you for coming by the show, man. I got like a 2-parter question, man. My first question is this. Is there a team or a certain team we've seen you, in the streets of New York with a New York jersey on, throwing the football? but the Titans got the #1 overall pick, Cleveland #2, New York Giants #3. Is there a team you want to go to? And that's the first part of the question. And the second part is, what are they getting when you get there in a quarterback?
Well, what you're getting is a complete package. You're getting everything you could ask for. Able to handle the media, able to handle the scrutiny that the NFL comes with, and having a leader in those. I've been in a lot of different situations, good, bad, ugly, and I've been the same through it all. So nothing really fazed me. You could tell by how I play, nothing phases me like that. And out of the teams, it's not, I would say, one that I'm looking forward to. It's not one that I'm looking past. It's all about the process. And the team's picking me. I don't really have much of a say-so on that. But just meeting the owners, meeting the coaches, meeting the GM, and them actually being able to understand me as a person and not reading the headlines of what you see. Because a lot of people in the media, like, their job is to talk negatively, and that's their job. So the main thing is them actually knowing me and meeting me as a person. And those coaches that I have met, everything been good, and they didn't expect me to be who I am.
Could you show some love or talk about the greatness of Travis Hunter and in your summation, what's his best position?
This is what's often crazy. Travis Hunter is one of the most generational athletes we have seen to this day. And they find a way to hate on him how they do. It's like, all right, yeah, at that point, it's just like, they don't want to give people their props or give people their flowers while they're still out there. So it's wild how they try to, misjudge him, or I'll say even talk about him how they do, like he's not an amazing player. I'm just thankful to be able to share the same field, be able to play with him. So,
yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of sharing the same, I've been following you and Cam Ward, and it seems like that competition between you guys has been amazing throughout this process. Can you talk a little bit about just Cam and how that competition of you guys going back and forth, training together, really pulling the best out of each other?
Yeah, it's fun when we go through it with each other, honestly. It's fun. Everything that we're playing, we always joke around, and we always just play around with it. Everybody takes it as something that is not. But it's just good that we're able to, we the two best quarterbacks in the draft, without a doubt. And it's just good that we're able to train and work out with each other. So it's funny. He'll be like, did this team talk to you? And I'll be like, yeah. He was like, all right, they talked to me too. So it's funny that we're able to just compare and contrast everything with each other.
Tell us about how you're staying fueled up and hydrated with Gatorade.
Well, Gatorade, they've been with me since day one. They've been there since Jackson State and now Colorado, now at the next level. So they always been there. They always help me get the competitive edge over a lot of these other players. And for me, it's about relationships and consistency. So I just continue to deal with the same relationships that I have in the past, and they all, we benefit each other very well.
So this is a look at Daniel Jeremiah's first mock draft, and you see there just outside of the top 5, he has Shedeur Sanders going to Pete Carroll and the Las Vegas Raiders. Number 6 overall, just ahead of Tyler Warren, and that's a few picks after he has Cam Ward going number 3 to the New York Giants. And then Abdul Carter out of Penn State is going number 1 overall, so 2 quarterbacks going in the top 6 in DJ's mock draft. Let's talk about the Tennessee Titans and that first overall pick. Marcus, what should they do?
Well, I was going to say they should draft a quarterback, but now I don't know if I want to go against what Daniel Jeremiah has if he's got them taking an edge rusher. I mean, I do think after seeing Will Levis in action for a couple of years, I think, while it may not be fully case closed, it is looking like he may not be the quarterback of the future for the Tennessee Titans, I think, as they're trying to sort of rebuild. And they have the luxury of being in a division that is not exactly rock solid. I mean, there are opportunities for this team to compete in the AFC South in the next couple of years. We have seen so much success for NFL teams come from being able to find that quarterback who can sort of take them to the next level. We talk about the Washington Commanders drafting Jaden Daniels and then ending up in the NFC Championship game. I'm not saying that you draft Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders and suddenly you're going to be playing the AFC Championship game, but that does seem sort of like the foundational point to sort of building that franchise. We've also seen, Patrick, over the last few years, teams willing to take multiple swings at the quarterback position in multiple years just to try and find that guy. And I think if you're the Titans, I think you take another swing at quarterback and see if maybe you can find who that future person can be.
And I think the important part is if you take that swing at another quarterback, you make sure to give them a full chance and opportunity at being evaluated on a good roster. And so I'm looking down because Daniel Jeremiah has the mock where it is, but then it is top 50 prospects. None of the quarterbacks make it inside of the top 10. He has Cam Ward at number 10. I think if you love Abdul Carter as a player, you go ahead and get him on your team. When you get a good player on your team, it's like the Seinfeld joke about keeping a reservation. They had A.J. Brown. You find the good player, and then you keep that player on your team. You retain their services in order to get the value over the course of a career. So if it's Abdul Carter, if it's Shedeur Sanders, if it's Cam Ward, just try to get the rest of the team around them set. That's what the Tennessee Titans should do with the #1 overall pick. Folks, we're looking forward to the 2025 NFL Scouting Combine. Coverage starting with on-field workouts right here on over on NFL Network. February 27th, the defensive line and the linebackers get going. The defensive backs and tight ends on the 28th. And then you can finish things out with a lot of skill activity on March 1st before the offensive line brings it home. Running the final leg of the relay again. Coverage begins March 27th. Couple of Bears. DJ Moore, Rome Odunze coming up. They got to play against a pretty good player in the NFC North is Aaron Jones. Found his way to Minnesota. Things kind of fell apart towards the end. Aaron Jones commenting on the division and his squad next on Super Bowl Today. Welcome back to Super Bowl Today as we see those beautiful ships on the Mississippi River ahead of Super Bowl 59. The wheels keep turning, and we keep going to great guests like Aaron Jones of the Minnesota Vikings in 2024, joining the folks on Super Bowl Live this week.
And is there a second season out there for you in Minnesota based off the success that you guys had together this year and trying to get this team, back, into the postseason and maybe sitting here talking about, a Minnesota Vikings Super Bowl here at some point?
Yes, sir. I'd love to be back in Minnesota. I've told them that, and they echoed that they want to bring me back. So we'll see how it ends up going. But that's where my heart's at, and that's where I want to be.
Man, love to hear that, Aaron, man. Glad for you to be on the show with us, man. I'm going to get a little spicy with it a little bit, man. I'm going to look at the Minnesota Vikings quarterbacks, bro. Just talk about Sam Darnold a little bit and the year he's had, and what have you seen from the young quarterback out of Michigan right there in the wings waiting to get a chance to start?
Definitely, I'm super proud of Sam and all that he accomplished this year. I feel like he shut a lot of people up, a lot of those doubters. No, the last 2 games didn't go the way he wanted or we wanted it to go. But I feel like he has a lot to be proud of. We're proud of him. He came out and really showed who he is, and I think he turned things around for him. And then JJ, I feel like he's going to be a special guy as well. You got to see a little glimpse of him in the preseason. During training camp, he was dicing people up. It was him and Sam were going at it. So it was just unfortunate to see him go down during the preseason. But I'm excited for him as well. He can throw it. He can put it anywhere on the field. He's tough. He's different up here too. So whoever is back there, I'm excited. I'll be there to lift them up, try to make their job easier, and lead.
Aaron, first and foremost, let me say running backs matter. And you weren't the only running back to switch teams and have success. Talk about what you were able to do there in Minnesota, what kind of helped you, but also what Saquon Barkley has done with the Eagles and helping them get to this big-time game on Sunday.
I think part of it was the system. KO, he's very great offensive-minded, and just giving me the opportunity and attempts to run the ball. And then just proud as a whole of the running back group. Been advocating, been standing on the table for us running backs to get our value. I feel like we're undervalued. We do a lot out there on the field. You're touching the ball just more than receiver number 3, but you're taking more hits than anybody, picking up the protections, running routes. So just to see us guys go out there and pretty much have career years. And the crazy part is a lot of us got together and talked about it. How can we help our market? What can we do to change this? And I think all of us coming out and doing this, that is one step in the right direction.
And look, I mean, you can't accomplish your goals, right, in football or in anything without a good night's sleep. Am I right? So, like, what kind of sleep number are we talking that you're rocking these days, Aaron?
I8. Sleep Number Smart Bed. Got this double split in it, but Sleep Number is great. It's top of the line for any athletes out there who want to, or not just athletes, but anybody out there who want to be able to track your sleep, know what's going on while you're asleep, how much you slept, how much restful sleep you're getting, your heart rate while you're asleep, and then it gives you a sleep number score at the end. And what I've come to realize is the higher my sleep number score is, which means the more rested I am, the better I go out there and perform, is directly correlated with my performance. And it's scientifically proven that the best form of recovery is sleep.
Shout out to Sleep, folks. The Super Bowl Sleepover Suite is a one-of-a-kind experience offered by Courtyard by Marriott, the official hotel partner of the NFL. With the help of Courtyard's fan ambassador, Jason Kelsey, one lucky fan duo will spend a one-night stay in the custom stadium suite. These winners will wake up on Super Bowl Sunday inside the Caesars Superdome with tickets to the game and access to VIP experiences all weekend long. Speaking of sleep, it's time for Super Sleepers, presented by Courtyard by Marriott. As Marcus, we have to find a player that nobody is talking about that you think is a sleeper for the Super Bowl.
I'm going to go deep, and I'm going to go Samaje Perine for the Kansas City Chiefs. We saw he had the catch that basically sealed it for the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. And yeah, he's been pushed down the depth chart a little bit. Isaiah Pacheco's return, the way Kareem Hunt has played. P-Ryan maybe not having the biggest role, but how often do we see in big playoff games, in Super Bowls, when Andy Reid just finds a way to get these unsung heroes? I mean, a couple of years ago, Jerick McKinnon showing up, I won't say out of nowhere, but kind of going on to having a huge Super Bowl game to help the Chiefs win. And P. Ryan, a guy who, maybe not the runner he was earlier in his career, but certainly very effective in the passing game, can be that outlet when Mahomes gets in trouble a little bit. You just have a feeling Andy Reid's going to dial up something that nobody's expecting, and it could be Samaje Perine on the wheel route out of the backfield, catching the Eagles by surprise.
You mentioned early in Samaje Perine's career, can't help but think of Michael Ealy, the actor, making the draft call for the then team named after the slur, and he said, Samaje Perine, mispronouncing both of his names. My guy that I think is a sleeper in this game is a player who also might occasionally have his name mispronounced, and that's Mekhi Becton, the big ticket drafted by the New York Jets. He comes over in free agency to the Philadelphia Eagles. They're like, oh, he can't stay on the field. He's not that good of a football player. What did he do? He blocked for arguably the best running back season that we have ever seen in the history of the NFL. And because he plays over there at right guard, people sometimes forget. But it's tough to forget when he's opening up massive holes for Saquon Barkley and he's running down the field by himself. So, yeah, I think a guard could be a sleeper in this game, and that's why I have Mekhi Becton as my super sleeper, which is presented to you by Courtyard by Marriott. As we continue here on Super Bowl Today, coming up, you've waited the entire week. You have wanted, you have begged your computer or television or phone or tablet screen. Pick the game. Marcus, Patrick, who is going to win the Super Bowl? We are going to tell you right after this quick break. Back here on Super Bowl Today, as yes, driving into downtown New Orleans where they were set. It's been a great week everything pushing towards some NFL honors on Thursday night, but on Sunday, that's where all of the fun takes place, and one team will etch their name in the history of the National Football League. Welcome back to Super Bowl today. As yes, it's time for us to discuss Super Bowl 59, the actual game. In terms of how things will go, we'll start with the X factors, those variables that dictate big parts of what happens. What is your X factor on Sunday, Marcus?
I think it's that the boldest coach is the one that's going to win. And mind you, bold does not necessarily mean reckless, but I go back to the NFC Championship game and that opening drive that the Commanders had where they picked up a number of third downs, they went for it on a number of fourth downs, and then finally they get close, and Dan Quinn sends out the field goal team. Now, mind you, look, in a game where you ultimately give up 55 points, that was not the deciding factor, but it certainly felt like it set a tone for that ball game, that here you were willing to be bold, willing to risk it in a game where you really had nothing to lose if you were the Commanders, and you suddenly just kind of settle for the 3 points. And I feel like the team that continues to be bold and make those bold decisions will be the one that ultimately wins.
I'm looking over, because you mentioned this with this Bengals team in the season where they didn't have anything in the secondary, and they need to make fixes, a lot like the Philadelphia Eagles did. They go out and draft a couple of guys that had great rookie seasons. They bring C.J. Gardner-Johnson back, kind of acknowledging the mistake that they made in having him go over to Detroit. And here they are, back in the Super Bowl. And that's why I think this is the X factor. It's not necessarily an unexplained variable, but they have the ability to say, all right, let's just go across the board and see if we can get everybody covered. And they have the ability to do that. So that's why I believe that the Eagles secondary is the X factor in the game. But the game has to have a winner. They're going to play this one. I guess in theory, it could just continue in perpetuity and have a million overtimes. But we're going to have a winner in this game. Who's it going to be, and who will the MVP be?
Well, the state of entertainment in this country is such that reboots and sequels are all the rage here. So in that vein, the Kansas City Chiefs pull off the three-peat. I have them winning 31-28. Patrick Mahomes is your MVP. And as a bonus bold prediction, on the podium, Travis Kelce will announce his retirement and propose to his billionaire superstar pop star girlfriend and completely melt down the internet.
Well, I hate that my pick hinges on a potential love match, but maybe Travis and Taylor are going to have to find another circumstance for that moment, because I think the Philadelphia Eagles will win this game, and I don't necessarily think it's going to be a close game. 32-24, Eagles win, because sometimes one team is better than others. And I know that there's a mismatch perhaps at quarterback, because maybe all time there's a mismatch between Patrick Mahomes and everybody. Otherwise, other than thinking about Chris Jones, I think position by position, they're better. I'm looking forward to the game. Thank you all for spending time with us here this week on Super Bowl Today. For our producer, Hytham, for Marcus Grant, I'm Patrick Claybon. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the game.